Number 2 is roll call.
Chairperson Sandal.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Shearer. Here. Members Anderson, Moore, Ruland. Here. Bryant,
Here.
Eisenbrow.
Present.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Number 4, moment of reflection of prayer.
2 Corinthians 4. I'm going to start at verse 15. All this is for your benefit, so that the grace that is reaching more and more people may cause thanksgiving to overflow to the glory of God. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all.
Thank you, Sally. Do we have any conflicts of interest tonight? None. We'll move on to number 6, approved agenda.
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes to approve the agenda. Number 7, approve consent agenda.
Approve consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes to approve the consent agenda. Number 8, open forum. I don't believe we have any. With that, we're going to move to number 9, school resource officer discussion. We have a guest here, Linda Eisenbrow. You're up.
Howdy. Hi, hello, Mr. Guy. How are you?
Hey, thank you.
I have come to discuss with you the resource officer being brought back into the school. I know I assume you all know that last year I circulated a petition and the community at large signed it, not just the moms and dads, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, but the community at large want a resource officer back in the school. The city council, last time we had a resource officer, as I understand, and the mayor told me this, that the city paid half the salary. So that could be some funding for you. I understand that you have selected a committee to research the resource officer too. And I've been told that Pennington County is hard to work with. But New Underwood has a resource officer and they've had to work with Pennington County. And my problem with this is that you're betting against these kids' life in the supposition that nothing's going to happen. Sorry, you can't guarantee that. And I'm not just talking about the kids. You have a gym full of community members at all kinds of games and things that the school holds with open doors. I really suggest that we'll get a resource officer again, because now this is my personal feeling. If I was on the school board and something did happen, you know that everybody's going to blame the school boards. And I wouldn't want to be blamed for anything like that. That's all I have to say. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Linda. We appreciate you coming in and speaking with us today. Just to, I guess, bring a little bit of discussion to the matter. I don't care if I talk, Bill.
Go right ahead.
As a committee, we spent a good deal of time one night discussion over this matter. And the committee basically came out of that with consensus that our efforts need to be directed toward security of the building and making sure that nobody enters the building to start with from the outside. And the second premise being the admin and the teachers. They're probably our first line of defense in knowing if something's going on anyways. So coupled with presence at the beginning of the school day and the end of the school day, having an officer here or in the proximity, we hope will aid in minimizing that risk. It's not something we took lightly, and there's discussion out there on, what can a resource officer do to protect your kids in the event that there is somebody here with nefarious interests. It's tough for one person to protect this whole school and tough to find somebody trained to dispatch them in that situation. And it sounds really good in principle, but to me, when I look at that and think that through in my mind, that takes a really good person. And I'm not saying they're not out there, but is our money and our time best spent in Alice training our people, preventing them from accessing the building? That's where the discussion is. And I appreciate, I appreciate coming in and your concern. I know it's in the right place. We have a difference of opinion on how to handle that.
I understand exactly what you said. I agree with what you said, except to the point where you have open doors. You have open doors when you're having community events, when you're having school events, you have open doors with nobody there to stop anyone. And I don't think you considered that.
We generally have officers in most school events, or we try to.
For varsity, we've asked for varsity to have somebody here, inside the door. You're not wrong in that being a weak link. I mean, during the school day, our doors are locked. We can control.
Yeah, I understand that.
But at a game, can't necessarily. Now, at varsity event, can we have personnel here? And the answer is yes, we're trying to do so. But in that case, I guess you have a very good point. But I don't know that a resource officer would do something different than a sheriff would as far as standing at the entrance to the building.
I don't think you have a sheriff here all the time at your events. I come to an awful lot of them and I've not seen very many of them. I'm sorry.
We requested more from the Pennington County Sheriff's Office to come down here for events and be more present when it comes to entry into the school and exiting the school, meaning the beginning and the end of the school day. What we found, because when I first came out of the school board, I was a huge proponent for an SRO. It was one of my main things of getting on the school board. And after learning more about it and understanding the ins and outs of why we don't have one now, what we run into is Pennington County pays half their salary. Meaning when Pennington County needs something right now, doesn't matter if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 11 o'clock in the morning, they call that deputy that's sitting in here as the SRO to go respond to a traffic incident, to go to respond to a motorist assist, to go respond to another officer in trouble. Like they're constantly getting pulled out. So us to have one full time would be us footing the entire bill.
So what percentage of the time do you think that would be happening? Would you say 10% of the time?
I would say probably more.
I think more than that in the history, because we had an SRO in the past,
Right.
and she was pulled out quite a bit.
Could I ask a question? Would it be worth Chuck and I were talking today, and I don't know if this has ever been requested or asked, if they would want to ever office up here. So an officer could office up here. We could provide an office. So there would be that presence.
I think that is a terrific idea.
And I don't know if it's possible or not. Now, one thing that I do get a little bit concerned about. When you have law involved with, I guess I don't need our kids to become a part of the legal system over things that I can handle myself, and I can handle a lot. At a school level, we're just going through this whole new policy update. I feel we are very covered. And when you sometimes have, and I don't know all the logistics of it, but including them instantly puts those kids into the legal system if they have to deal with something on a day-by-day piece. I don't know
Like-
if that's where we want to put our
Like
kids.
harassments, like if there was kids like messing around with other kids and one wanted in the our SRO showed up, 50,000 harassment claim and went through the. Do so, right?
Usually-
Things like that could be,
When we had the SROs last time, they wouldn't do anything official unless we requested them to do it.
so they also. And back to policy, I wasn't on the SRO committee, so I can't speak for them, but on the policy side of things, I believe, guys, we did adopt a policy that if in the future we ever wanted one, our policy aligns with an SRO. Because there was options on those policies, because we were redoing our whole policy book right now. And we did pick a policy that aligned with one if we ever got one.
Yes.
Wanted to get one, we did decide to do that.
I think that in my mind, Linda, I picture this. We have an active shooter in a building. You have one resource officer to cover all of our properties, the entire school. By the time somebody goes to do harm, how quickly can we get that resource officer there?
I
How
have another
effective will
question
they
for
be
you.
at stuff? And so I think the answer is there's officers out there that would be very good at that, but those are hard to come by. Not just every town in the United States has one of those people that can stop that guy.
Is one better than none?
And it's not, but if you have resources, are they better spent somewhere else?
Like what?
Well,
Like a well-trained staff,
a really well-trained staff,
which is where we've been.
great security system, a metal detector, I don't know. Is that, and I mean, that's open for discussion, but what's the most effective way to stop them?
I'd like to address the games at night. When we had the SRO the last time, she didn't come to the games. They didn't come to the games. When she first came, the first year she was here, she got comp time for going to ball games, so that when there was, Christmas break, she would be comp, she'd still get paid for that time. But after that, that second year she was here, they changed that where they wouldn't, do that for her. So we never had a SRO at the games the second. After the first
I
year.
would think you could write that into her contract.
That's up to Pennington.
Yeah, we
That's
don't
true.
write our contract, Pennington County does. We can request it, but if they won't, if they say no,
Yeah, I understand.
we're in the same boat. And one thing that,
The first year we did, but then after that, we got SRO. So
so you brought up, during the school day, we got doors locked, we have security cameras, people
I got
letting
that.
in.
They're very
But-
safe.
Statistically, when are the active shooter situations happening?
I don't think you can go by statistics and tell what somebody's about to do
But that's all we
if
can
they
go
come
off
to
of,
do
Linda,
harm.
is statistics. And statistically, when an active shooter happens in a school, who is the shooter?
Are you talking about an inside person?
You're talking to students.
99% of the time, it is somebody from the school, a student in the school that comes in and does the harm. So
So you have just nullified your very first point that this building is safe. It is locked down. The kids are safe in here. Not if it's a student that comes in. No, it's not.
Well, that's where your well-trained staff, so, and they're being worked with, they do all different kinds of trainings and advances that way to know these kids, to recognize those signs before that ever becomes an issue, because when it comes down to it, our teachers and our staff are our first line of defense, hands down, every time. because they're the ones that interact with these kids every single day and they know these kids. And having that officer presence in the mornings and in the afternoons, when people are coming and going to, that helps because they get to kind of pick up on behaviors and things like that. So our teachers and our staff knowing these kids and us focusing on training or getting them well trained, will be the safest and fastest defense every single time because they are in every single room.
And you see a kid come in, he's got alcohol in his breath, just I'm making up an example. Something's not right with Johnny today.
And then
And he walked in the door and we have an officer here and, I just, we think that's the best line of defense.
That's fine.
And,
I just really hope nothing happens.
I hope.
We all,
hope-
We all,
We appreciate your concern. I know it comes from a good place. We have given some opinion.
we also have a plan already scheduled in for, it's called, first aid for mental health. So it's like a first aid for blood, but it's first aid for mental health for adolescents. I intended one for adults last year. They had one for the adolescents and I could not attend. But it's DSS for a grant, and so we've scheduled with them during our beginning meeting. To hopefully help our staff understand a little more what to look for.
I think we just want you to know too, we take our students' safety very seriously. We all have kids or family that attend this school and nobody here, safety is a number one concern. So we appreciate your thoughts on that too. Just, we would never do something to put our kids in harm's way. And we are doing what we can and what we think is best to be able to meet those needs head on and prevent it first. But be able to respond.
Thank you for listening to me.
You bet. Thank you, Linda.
thank you, Linda.
With that, we'll move on to number 10, student staff recognition.
First and foremost, I want to announce, congratulations to Dr. Sikora. Mr. Sikora, received his doctorate at the end of May. So I'd like to congratulate him. He didn't quit, and that's something that takes us some time. What I did want to say, nobody showed up tonight because I think they just came off of a football camp. A lot of them did, but I wanted to congratulate our track kids. Had a really good showing at the state track meet, and then you've probably also seen where our golf team received second place by 1 stroke. And Trevor Schultz is the state meet champion golfer. Plays golf. So, we had a good showing here at the end of the year.
The team got second. You said
By 1 stroke.
by 1 stroke, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it was a good lesson to our kids that, you know what? When you have a bad day or a bad time and you want to throw in the towel, you never do, because any 1 stroke over those 2 days of any one of those boys is enough to make a difference.
Thank you.
That's all.
We'll move on to number 11, surplus items. Approved surplus items for disposal.
So this right there,
We have Nate Law with us this summer as an intern, and he is cleaning house. Helping Mrs. Myers.
We're hoping a lot of those old computers and some of those old technology items, hopefully be able to sell some of those. We're not sure the plan yet, but for a minimal cost, of course, but those have to be surplus first.
Amy, haven't these been in that back room? They've been in the back room for a very, very long time. So this is not something that We are just like getting rid of, it should have been gotten rid of probably,
2 or 3 years ago.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the surplus items for disposal or sale.
Again,
Motion and a second to Miranda. Thank you. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes to approve surplus items for disposal or sale. Number 12, approve resolution 25-5 FY 26 workers' comp fund adoption and renewal motion.
So you would have received that in your board packet. It's for our work comp, for FY 26.
You're not the one who said they'd go up very much compared to.
Okay, yep. So, it didn't go up too much. There is, however, in August, I believe, I do have to do a audit of our payroll and our staff directory and list. So there is a chance that it will go up a little bit more, but just depending on what payroll is, but going to look like for FY 26, but it's not a huge expense, but yeah, so those are two resolutions and you would have received those, they're big long documents, but, yeah.
Make a motion to approve the FY 26 workers' compensation fund.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes to approve resolution 25-5 FY 26 workers' comp fund adoption and renewal motion.
And then it's just the second one is just the participation agreement, so it's just legality, guys, but
I move to approve resolution 25-6, FY 26 workers' compensation participation agreement.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes to approve resolution 25-6 FY 26 workers' comp participation agreement. With that, moving quickly, we'll go on to committee reports here. So budget negotiations and insurance. We have not, I guess I wasn't here. The architects.
That would, we're a budget buddies. Sorry,
No,
you're
we have-
skipping.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
You're confusing, I guess.
He's trying to make it go quicker.
You got me. All right, budget negotiations, insurance.
we will next month have, I will send out another, this next month. Yes, we will have a short break in our meeting to allow for public comment or public questions for our budget. But, usually we don't receive any, but we will have that opportunity at our July meeting, but because I do publish. It's a more broke, it's not the full big one that you guys get, but it's more itemized.
Yeah. Anything else there, guys? Building, grounds, transportation.
Talk about this one now.
Yeah.
We really didn't have a meeting, did we, Rich? We just had that one,
Yeah, and I did not stick around to attend, so Tyrell.
well, it was the morning after our second meeting last month, but no, we ended up going to the powerhouse. We walked around. I want everybody to understand what I'm talking about. This is just giving them an idea and us an idea what it would cost to get that thing. Architects,
Yeah, Brad.
giving the architects an idea on what we want and how we want it to be like standard of like everything's up to code. I mean, we're not cutting corners on anything. That way it gives it a true representation of between new and redoing this old building. It's not gonna be shortcutted. So the price will be a legit good price on true cost of it. But we decided that, that day we decided we're gonna move towards like the old, did you guys want me to get into specifics of what we're gonna do over there? Okay, well, the old weight room area, we're tearing out a wall where there's a storage room where there's, and then cinder blocks, that might be the proposed idea for the gymnastics room year round. Think of that room back there. The storage room that you see now will be the storage room. It'll be all the gymnastics stuff that sits in there now won't be in there anymore. So there'll actually be room, and we're gonna probably, I told them to quote, kind of like cubbies or closets for every sport, so they can store their stuff in there. And that's where the custodial stuff will be in one corner too. There's plenty of room in there for that. The bathrooms will be tore out, redone. And then we'll bring the wall that where the old kitchen is. We'll tear that wall out and it'll go all the way to the south wall of the kitchen where the freezer is. It'll all come out. And that'll be the new weight room. And we're looking at moving the wall that's in the entryway all the way to the window. So there's about another 5 foot more room for the weight room and cardio room. So the old wrestling room, kitchen will be the new weight room. And then the stage will be redone. The 2 locker rooms will be redone, and the gym will add another set of bleachers and all new access keypads, all that stuff will be done, and a whole new HVAC system, all new electrical. Basically, the shells same, but the interior will be all today. And we're looking at not doing a false ceiling. It'll be all vault open.
Sure.
Because that back weight room, everybody's gonna think that's too short for a gymnastics, but it's actually as tall as the gym. You tear off the ceiling, the false ceiling.
You said new stage, is that including like, we're gonna do lighting and get all that stuff ready to go?
Absolutely, to the top of the line.
I told them to do lighting for high school play, not the mountain, not like the monuments plays, not we don't need like crazy like digital like the monument would have for a
Right.
show, but standard for what a high
Sure.
school play, or maybe a play that comes in for the high school would need. So
And then, we want to make it clear, because there may have been confusion. This is just an analysis. I want this on recording.
Yes.
This is just an analysis of what the price of what it may cost to redo that building. This is not saying we're redoing that building.
up to standard. That way, at the end of the day, in August, I believe that they're coming in August, we will have a price per square foot for that 18,000 square foot building of $200 a square foot. I don't know, just 200. And then they're gonna give us a price on what it'd take to replace that same size building new.
Okay,
And it might be 400, but and wherever it's at, they're gonna give us side by side prices on what it would take to replace or gut.
Got it.
Gut to stay, I mean, everything would be redone other than the shell and the
Would
foundation.
there be wrestling stuff there too, or?
I should, the wrestling would be in the gym.
Okay,
We would roll mats up and roll, because they want more room anyways, so they get half the gym, and it's easier to roll mats up than move gymnastic stuff, and then you'd still have you could put the curtain down at junior high practice, and roll the mats up, and you could have other practices, and we're open to the point where we want this gym to be used for tournaments, so if we have a tournament and we need both gyms, you can use that one, it's usable, nice enough to be used for a tournament. Tournaments and shirts.
And we considered putting I thought this was a great idea, the computer and the security stuff all upstairs
There's a
in the
boiler
locker
room,
room.
an old boys locker room, which are identical opposite sides, and all the HVAC, computer, electrical, all the all that stuff's gonna be put upstairs in those 2 rooms. Proposal, and all the HVAC stuff kept inside is also a big win, because it doesn't deteriorate as quick too.
right,
So,
and it's easier to secure.
Any sort of timeline? I mean, how long it would take to do this, or do we have to
no.
wait until
To do the
then?
analysis or to do the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, if there was
the,
just a timeline, I know, it might be putting the cart before the horse, but to know, like,
I would imagine,
if it would be like a 2-year process, or if they would do it in.
imagine they'll give us that in August when they give us the price, because right now they just honestly, we were walking around with them, and that was their first time seeing it. So they don't really know, but we will know that in August, I'd imagine, what that time might.
You got let bids, it's quite a process.
I think what Miranda was asking was from
Or for the analysis.
the first, from the first rip out of a wall,
Yeah, like,
how long do they think it'll take? If it's gonna be 6 months or 2 years or 3 weeks or?
They didn't say that. I'm hoping in August they'll
Yeah.
answer that
Right,
though. I'm
right.
hoping that's some price.
All I know is this, and I'm not, I want to keep moving forward. And if I can remember anything Penny Pittman told me, you're gonna have to pay. So you decide what you want to pay for. With everything in life, we've got to pay. So do you pay for this amount today for this piece? Or do you pay for something to fix up later? You're always gonna have to pay. She used to tell me that. Another contractor told me the best time to build is now. I know at another school, they put off. $5 million project a few years ago is now $11 million. And so they're struggling because they thought it was too much back then. So it's kind of a tough decisions to make.
And that's what's nice about having this, because if it's like 40% of what a new build would be, and we already have a nice gym here, and that could be a really nice add-on gym for, which we can afford the next couple of years rather than 8 years down. It all depends on financials and if you want to take out a loan or a.
Then you gotta also consider, if we're gonna fix that up nice, you better plan on a full-time salary for a full-time person too. So there's a lot of those other little pieces we gotta keep in mind. Transportation, if we're doing kid things, or are we walking out, just things like that that go into place too.
Whereas
So,
if it was connected to this building, we wouldn't necessarily need.
No, but the
supervision.
caveat to that for the community, which I brought this up, the community wouldn't get to use it if it was over here like it's over there. It'd be locked down more being connected to the school over there. It's
They
locked
can't
down.
do security stuff that like they do pass through.
Or they, yeah, if you
So
lost
city
the
does,
background.
like there are schools that do that have the public waiting list connected to the schools, but yeah. You have to build extra corridors.
Well, if we're, and if we're gonna staff somebody over there, that's something we could talk with the city about too, to maybe split
But
it.
it would be nice to have them side by side, because that's the number one question we get from people in the community whenever we talk about this is, why aren't you doing something about the powerhouse? It's like, well, we don't even, so we
Don't
do
know.
this, no one ever even knows what it would cost, so.
And I should bring up the city. What I was told by the city was, they don't have any extra money to help with this project. There won't be helping. That $8,000 donation every year, they went up in the minutes and looked it up, and that has no strings attached. It was just to better the community's health. There was not us having to allow them in. So that's, we want to be good to our community, but we want to be good to the local community, not strangers who come into town for a month or two and destroy our stuff.
Right,
So I'm not gonna name by
No.
any means, but
but
we
what
want
needs,
to be good to the older people who want to come watch. But there has to be a line drawn.
well, what needs to happen there, like our gym on base, it's not staffed 24 hours, but you have a key card that you can get in with, and when you scan your key card, just like this one, it logs who that's registered to. There has to be some sort of, again, back to the same, the trigger word for me, there has to be accountability that if people are letting their kids go run around in there and break stuff, like you have to sign a statement of understanding saying like, this is what the rules are, and my kid's not gonna be in there, I'm not gonna let Joe Schmo who doesn't have access to use my card. And if you do, you lose your privileges.
Contract right now that they sign like that when they are issued a
It's just a matter of catching it, or let someone lets us know that it's happening. I have a couple people in town who will call me and something happens.
I don't know if this would be perceived as going too far, but should being able to show like a city utility bill to get a key card.
Yeah, I do that in a lot of things.
Or something to prove that we can
An address.
somehow connect to this place,
Well,
an address physically.
They ask for an address to put on the applications.
Yeah, you usually get an address. I mean, yeah, true. You could give anybody an address though, because you're sitting somewhere, but
So how do the workers get access to it?
They come up and purchase it.
We allow it, and that's another thing they brought up, is Brad owns a gym membership, and he was talking about membership fees, and that's something we could look into doing, is for some raising it, for, for community members, local, year round, leaving it a little cheaper and raising it for others, so it's more. I don't know, that's avenues we need to look at when we actually attempt something, but right now, that's what we're looking at. The bones of the building's good, there's no cracks, it's, all the bones are good from what we've been told, what he said. So it's a matter of, like he said, it's always cheaper redoing, like we imagined, because you don't have a lot of the dirt work, site work, there's no foundation work, all that's easier. And yeah, for the community members, the location's nice for them at that time, but we'll see, it might come in at 80% of what new build is, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, that's makes some sense then all of a sudden, so
Yeah.
we'll see. I'm looking forward to August.
thank you for going and doing that, by the way. That, don't think we have anything else we need to visit about.
Other than I would like to mention, to be on record, we are looking for other buses. Because we do know we need to replace a bus, and we are looking into buses that have AC and seat belts that we can do the same thing the other one did for a more affordable price for the school district. So
Thank you, Tyrell. Good to know. We move on to our third committee, curriculum instruction and technology.
The last one you guys met was when I was at golf, so that was, I believe so. So we,
I'm working on finding some, or updating some science. Science curriculum is old and shabby. I am looking at some of that. I still am trying to put together a process for curriculum review or a plan. So it happens on we just need some plans written down. Good systems have plans.
Well, just to keep it moving, keep sort of like with the new building and even Howard was saying, maintenance plans. I feel like our curriculum and our policies also need maintenance plans.
I think sometimes we do things on the spur of the moment and I'm not a knee-jerk reactor. So that's a bad habit to get into. We fix it when it's broken. Let's keep it maintained and things will go smoother and longer. Those are some of the things I'm trying to
We
work
should
on.
be able to see those things coming, right? Like with the ELA standards when we change, like we
Yes.
kind of be able to back those. things
Yeah,
up.
and we have them. I just don't think they're written down.
Yep.
To talk a little bit about technology, I do know, Mrs. Myers and Nate have been working like crazy, updating, cleaning, securing. She just went to a 2 or 3 day training in Madison with our state system. So Golden West is meeting with us. I think I've got a little meeting, just a 30-minute meeting, but to get some things going. Maybe next week. The online Teams meeting, but I think some good things are happening there.
We have an update on our website, Stefano.
We're signed up,
We're signed
and
up.
that's about where we're at right now.
I know, I did talk to Rebecca. She's looking at the different options as far as like the layout. I know we were busy trying to like reload computers for staff. So I don't know if that's as far as it's
One
gone.
thing they told us to do is kind of go through our website that we have right now and clean house in there. Figure out what things we want to keep, because what they'll do is take those pieces that we want to keep and just move them over into their
So
format.
that's another thing too, as far as the policies go, is how, if you guys wanna kind of look at the website just a little bit, we have them all loaded on as individual like PDFs. If you click on a policy, it comes up as a PDF. I don't know if that's the route you wanna go as far as our new website when we do pass policy next month. Or if there's a different,
what other way would there be, or why?
I don't know, maybe we can,
Doka,
Kadoka has
the same.
the same, company that they use. I don't know, as far as how we want to do them, I don't know.
This is what they,
Cause theirs looks like it's
just a whole policy,
Like
it's a
a
whole
book.
book.
we
You
want to
just
like,
scroll, so you don't open up, so it's got like a table of contents.
Can someone print it off? They want to print a certain page off if they want to.
Yeah,
I'm sure good. Or
and I don't know if they might have a different, I can save a copy just right here on the phone, so.
That, I wouldn't be, you know how we have ours categorized with, you know, numbers, one or whatever. I wouldn't mind that having a scrolling page for like our 6 or 1, 2, 3, like, or do we want the whole thing?
1,000, 2,000,
Yes.
3,000.
Each one you can click on and then roll through it.
I would love to.
Go through a whole policy instead of going into
Shut up.
2001, 2002, like you click on the 2000 series and it's just all of them. Yeah.
Go to 3,000, click it's
And
all
then
of them.
scroll through the
Scroll through
two
that.
thousands rather than one, and then have an index
Yeah,
of
have an
what,
index of
oh, 1,000.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000.
Yeah, that's a nice,
So that's something to consider too, because it is. Cause you can't just print out on our current website, like, like, let's say if you asked me, Tyrell, Amy, can you print me out a policy book? I'd have to go into every single one. It's kind of, that's.
You never know.
Usually when
You like paper stuff,
Yeah.
Tyrell.
Usually when they-
Yeah, like a book.
Usually when they go through a policy, they look for
And
ones.
you can control how you can find on that. Like if
We
you.
have them like
Your little
indexed
green dot up there,
with the theories.
there should be a.
That'll give you-
finding pages
You
from
guys
so that
can,
you're like-
you guys can, you don't have to think of, you don't have to decide right now.
Whatever you're.
That's what I'm saying, because we're not gonna be even launching the website.
The only problem I can see having is.
Next
Should we have it in the next policy committee meeting?
Members that want to write our policy. So they
But-
have a few printed.
Another thing too is we need to think about, because we're gonna be passing policy next month. We're gonna have, but the website won't be ready next month, so we're gonna have to take out all the old policy and put some sort of something on our old website with the new policy too. So that's another. That's another elephant we have to chew.
what do you say?
Oh, I don't think you need to use them.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I
Or
think-
just a hyperlink to it. You have to.
The program that we have, the website on is outdated and we can't update it or something.
Just as long as we can make them public, so, because. The last.
Anyway, we're wasting time here, but, anyway, but we're gonna have, that's something I think.
We have a meeting. First, or
First week of January, yeah, so we can get it to the last in the handbooks.
we're almost done, guys.
Almost. 8, 9 months later.
much thanks to
Done with policy, we're working through handbooks right now.
the policy committee. You guys have done a lot of work, a lot of work.
If you guys have a chance to jump in there and read through them before the next meeting.
Okay.
There is some comfort. I was changing things today with the attorney. There are some things that I know in my heart that we're going to encounter as we live life. We're still gonna probably want to change down the road, and that's okay.
Every year, the policy should be being updated a couple
Yeah.
times a year, just to be on good, I mean, staying up to speed on.
There are so many details, and one thing I rest assured in is all of this policy, I know some of it seems long and detailed. But they write it according to state law. So we will be covered there. When they have it we've got an update on Thursday. I'm going to a meeting where they've got to update according to more state law, so.
Which
Well,
that,
that we just.
that only applies to ours for the next 3 years. Then we gotta pay a fee every year. Just to remind you, our 9,500 we paid originally is only for 3 years of updates. After that, you gotta subscribe to their services. Resubscribe, just to remind you.
As a member, so I could save the 95% fees.
I'm not complaining about
100% work.
it for this round. I don't know what the subscription is. for
I
that.
don't think it's
It's
that.
not very
Oh,
much.
it's not, but I just am reminding you that
But
we.
Yeah. And
I was like.
And we have to do it, no, we have to update no matter what.
yeah, and so we've been tweaking even since our committee meeting. There's been little tweaks we've been finding, like I've been going in there and updating a few things too. So that file I sent in your board packets, those are live. So like the little updates we made today, if they're live. So even if like we change something at our next policy meeting, when you guys go in there to start reading them and make sure you read them before our July meeting, they're live, so you're gonna see everything that's gonna be ready.
Really, what we changed was just for clarification.
Yeah, they're like adding this clarified words and stuff. So it's nothing major.
Yeah, sorry, we kind of jumped ahead there.
Well, we kind of melded a couple of them together, but, do we have anything else, I guess, as far as legislation, policy, or strategic plan is concerned?
Again,
How about career development, scholarship, and marketing?
I'm the only one. I'm gonna say no unless Sally's got something there.
No, I think we do though need to consider, this has been on my mind, Chuck, says, slow down, Sally. I quit singing, I quit playing Mustang Sally for him. You heard that song? Oh, that's a good
That's a
song.
good song.
We're gonna push it.
Anyway, marketing, know our school. Here's what I'm watching across the community. I'm watching it happen, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, but schools are jumping on this online piece left and right. I'm not going there. I like what we have right now. I feel it's manageable what we have right now. If a kid came and said, I'm gonna have to go someplace else, or I need to do something online, Mrs. Sundell and I meet with them. We make sure they've got a plan. We make them okay it with you guys. And we have a few of those students and it's been very, very successful. I think some of these schools see it as a way to bring the money, the funding back into their schools because they've lost a lot of kids to, homeschool and to other options. Now, I'm not afraid of that because we have a good thing going here and people know that. But I do think as all these online programs are popping up in these other schools, that we need to make sure that people know what we're about here. That comes into place of marketing. I see our website. That's why I want this website. And we're going to have interviews with teachers. I'm going to put interviews with kids. I want this to be a site where you can go on and you can get the feel of the good things we do. That's where I'm going to say I'd like to put my efforts into, but that marketing place that's a real thing. And that sounds as silly as it sounds. There are so many options to go to school nowadays. I want them to know our school is a good place. And that we can have those options, but better than they're seeing out and about, because they are watching, people watch the glitz out and about.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 15. Elementary principal report.
The only thing I have is at summer school, I just put 40 letters for students who will be invited to come to summer school. And those will go out in the mail tomorrow. And summer school will run from July 21st through August 24th, I believe, Monday through Thursday. A letter's going out and asking people, telling people that they're invited to attend. And hopefully they'll reply with the self-addressed down envelope that they're either interested or not interested. And if they are interested, what time works best for them. And I'll try to schedule them at or near where they requested, but it's it caused a little stress on my part.
We are a doctor now, so. More responsibility, right?
Yeah, well, usually doctors have someone to do their appointments for them.
Good one.
That's what I have. You guys have any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 15, business manager.
I've got a list tonight, guys. All right. Okay, I got this after I sent your package out, so my apologies, but you'll have in front of you a proposal from EMC. They do our property and liability insurance. So every year we get a update from our property and liability insurance carrier about how much it increases. And it always increases, you guys, but this year it did increase quite a bit. So here, and on the the front is just a little bit of an explanation from our agent, Jeremy. He was here last year, and kind of talked about, because we did switch companies last year. And, talked about, or 2 years ago, we did. And he was here last year because we got a new agent. I'm sorry. And, in this explanation here, it talked about why we saw an increase. And mainly it was because that's just what the market is showing, is that property and liability insurance is going up across the US. That's something that's inevitable. And then, of course, we had the increase in our bill, with the addition. So, we don't have to do anything today because this will be, we'll approve this next month. Because it wasn't on our agenda and it doesn't have to be approved in June. But I wanted to give you this to look through to, for our July meeting. And this will be in the reorg part, so the second half of the July meeting. But where we saw the substantial difference, and you'll see that it's kind of right above is the 2024, 25, the commercial property was $68,581, and then it went up to $80,090. And that's what that was because of the addition that we had. So, and then there was some little tiny changes, but that was the difference in that chart. Okay.
Question, Amy. So if you look at that itemized chart on that first page, I'm just noticing after our discussion this morning, or this earlier tonight, crime is lower. What is our liability? I mean, what does that mean? Do you know? Like, what are we paying for? Crime went lower. Does that mean we have less crime?
No, that's just that part of the premium, but if there was any crime that happened and you had any property damage,
Like that,
what?
like vandalism or something
I'm
like that.
assuming, so I'm honestly not 100%
That's
sure.
interesting that went down.
But one thing, he did offer is if you wanted him to, Jeremy, he can come next month and explain all of it if you wanted to. No?
Everyone else is going up, so it's not like it's,
Okay.
So I'm not surprised by this, I guess.
I guess at first it was a sticker shock to me and I was like, holy crap. Like, that's a big jump. Like, I mean, and then after he's like, well, you did add, I'm like, well, done. But I mean, when we added the new addition, it wasn't for a full year. And so it was like, okay, then I kind of,
And insurance is also criminal. I mean, let's be real honest.
Looking at
and this isn't just property insurance. This also includes liability. So,
does that commercial estimate on the front page, does that include liability?
yep, so this is commercial property and then the liability stuff. And it's also included.
So that is what we pay for insurance.
That's just for property and liability insurance.
109, it's our.
That's the full year's premium. Yeah. Yeah, and then we have workers' compensation insurance. That was the one we approved tonight. And then we also have, if you guys remember, we almost lost our coverage on the bus line. And so we had to have special property and liability coverage because EMC would not cover it. So he went and got special coverage for that. And so I also got that quote today. And that came in $355.22 more than last year, which again is not anything substantial. So that is the second little packet. One thing that they do offer is a $500 per year terrorism premium. We can add on if we want, in case there's an act of terrorism on that piece of property. We did not we did not choose to add that last year, but that's something that they do offer. So that 37 or 3,797.22, that does not include the fire. So I'm assuming you probably don't want to do that, but again, those are two things that we'll decide last month, but I want to just give you this and offer to have them come next month if you want. But I'm getting consensus, you don't need them to come next month.
The 3,536, that's our monthly,
No, that's a year,
That's
just
yearly.
for the bus mark.
just for the bus part. My bad. Okay.
So all these costs that you'll see that we did for everything, property liability and workers' comp is annual. Okay. Also, next month, during our reorganization meeting, you guys vote on official entities. So that means like you set your official newspaper, banks, all those different kinds of things. So I included that. I did a lot of redlining in this document because it needed to be updated and just to kind of go off some policy type of things. So, I want you guys to look at this because by no means, because I went through and updated it, doesn't mean that you guys have to go with it. But, and then all of the changes in here, I gave a little rationale. Because some of them, like for instance, the last two talk about bus driving pay and substitute teacher pay. Bus driving pay was a policy that was an old policy we had. With our new policies, there's not a specific policy that talks about bus driving pay. And most schools have route drivers, which are then an employee, essentially. They have like a classified contract. Well, we don't have that. So that's why they don't have that in policy. So I thought since we're not gonna have that policy to maybe have an official entity to set a rate for our bus drivers. So that's basically what our current policy says, is $16 an hour minimum amount. And then we don't really have anything in writing. We did have an old substitute teacher handbook. Well, we're getting rid of all of our handbooks kind of, and we're starting over. So rather than having any type of handbook anymore for subs, I thought we should maybe have something as far as setting a substitute pay in our entities, because this kind of, our official entities list sets our prices and stuff for the year. So I have that as well as our current rates that we have. I changed the lunch prices. I don't know, as far as the loss rates, we did do a large bump up last year. But we hadn't changed rates for 3 years prior to that. So that's something for you guys to think about too. If you want to keep them at the same rate we are at now, that's fine. And then do larger bumps up every few years, or to just do smaller rate increases every year, or just kind of assess it each year.
I don't know, I'd like to see it be self-sustaining, like, that's why we raised it so much last year, but maybe.
I'd always kind of, we did have a loss this, in FY 24, but I mean, we still have enough in our fund balance. We're doing fine. So it's kind of up to you. I hate to not raise it just a little bit. It's kind of like our lunch. You don't want to raise it, not raise it. And then when you have to raise it because it's not self-sustaining, then you raise it a bunch and it's noticeable for families, like huge amount, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So that's just, but I don't know, because last year we did $3 per rate.
You'd rather raise it 50 cents a year if need be instead of $3 and.
Yeah, I was thinking $1, because I don't like change,
Well,
but I mean, it's essentially your guys' decision. So I was thinking like $1 per level, but whatever.
We just need consensus on that. I think that's reasonable.
And that's something that you guys can decide next month. Lunch prices, I just updated it to what it is now. That kind of is dictated by the National School Lunch Program application. That's done this summer, and that will be, it's kind of out of our control. If we want to receive funds from the feds, we kind of have to go off of what they say. And then just some small changes throughout, but everything that I kind of suggested here is explained, but if you have any questions, you can let me know, and you can tell me to shut up, and you could do whatever you want, so.
Would it be possible to increase the state per diem meal?
Can't.
You can't?
Don't we have to go with the state?
So $5 for breakfast, $7 for lunch, and $8 for dinner?
No, not for, we can for students. We
That,
can't,
it's for students, is what I'm saying.
not, I mean,
Why I bring that up is, while there are people in the community that have no problem throwing their kids a couple $100 to go to the state and eat, if they don't have that kind of money, all they're gonna eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner for a whopping $20 a day is gonna be something junky from McDonald's.
so, and usually, so what happens, how that works is usually if the hotel has continental breakfast, then we don't give them $5 either, because it's free.
Right.
So, which usually continental breakfast most of the time is decent. But no, you guys set the student meal per diem rates.
It's just something for maybe everybody to think about. And I'm not saying we need to give them $20 a meal, but when I'm $20 a day to eat, like it's nothing. I stopped at Freddy's today and just got a meal and it was $12.
Let's say 10 for lunch.
It was wonderful, by the way.
If you have breakfast, if you have lunch, dinner.
Yeah, and that, I mean, and I've checked around as far as what other schools do, and it's really all over the board. So like, some schools give the adult rates and some
So
schools,
the adult rates, they're set by the state. Do we have
Yes,
to follow that?
we follow what the state, per diem rates are.
They can always go higher
You can.
For students.
for everybody.
For everybody, but you at least have to give the adult rate.
I'd like to put on
But, yeah, that's something you guys can think about too, and, usually and this is not ever guaranteed, so usually the Booster Club does give $10 a day to the students for the days they're in competition.
Okay.
So like, for instance, if they go down a day before and they, come back the next morning, it's only the days that they're like. But that's not always guaranteed either, so.
I just think that those prices are very outdated with the way, the cost of things anymore. So if it's something people want to think about, that would be wonderful.
But yep, that's absolute, that hasn't been changed. Probably I could look, probably for 4 years or more.
Wow.
So that's something that needs to be. thought about. Any other questions on that? Also, one of the biggest things that happens every year at the July meeting is we open up parking spot bids. So I will be advertising that this month. So, unless you don't want to do it at a board meeting, there's nothing that said that we have to open them up at a school board.
I was gonna ask, is there a reason that the board doesn't approve those? They just have the highest.
They go by the highest bid, and then the highest bid gets the first choice. So if you trust myself and I always have someone else, we don't have to waste your time and do it at a board.
And we do that in executive session, don't we?
No.
Oh, we don't.
We should.
Maybe that's why they started doing it, so it was
I mean, I really don't feel like that's.
out there.
I trust you.
So if I have like Jennifer sit there, and if there's a tie, we draw out of a hat, or Chuck and I.
Yeah, you
Chuck and Jennifer.
office folks take care of it, and then we'll just announce it at a meeting, who's where.
Or just call them and do it.
Sure.
You could Facebook Live it, Amy.
Oh,
There you go.
On the website.
On the,
Put it on the website.
I could just record it.
Dr. Sally loves going Facebook Live. So
Are you sure that would scare some of us? You don't know what I may say out there.
Okay, it'll still be sealed bids, because that's, you have to do that, but I won't require it at a board meeting, because it's not like it's a state law.
Make a decision on it.
No,
Auction.
like Miranda doesn't get to sit its 50-yard line.
Okay, well then I'm not gonna waste our time, because that usually takes a good,
20 minutes, half hour.
but I think that's all I have.
thank you. Amy. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Some things going on. We do have extended school year. Chuck mentioned other summer school, but extended school year, to clarify everything, is for those kids who, the data has shown that they will not retain if they lose so many days out of school. So we have a couple students in extended school year. It's usually for students on IEPs. It has to be written into their IEPs. It's not just a wish or a want by somebody. And so we've got a couple students, so we have extended school year. It's kind of fun. One of those kids goes down and works at Dairy Queen. Bless their hearts, they provide a couple hours of work for this student at Dairy Queen, wiping off tables, things like that. One thing, so I asked two of our teachers who I felt were ready for a little more leadership opportunity to attend Dakota Dreams, which is a big leadership. It was about 6 days last week at different times through the year. And that was Mrs. Keir and Mrs. Schreiber. They have put together a book study that our entire staff, and when I say our entire staff, I'm talking secretaries, doctors, everybody are participating, and we are reading the Energy Bus. And they have put together some reflection opportunities. I'm also getting a graduate credit for us. I got to get it applied for, but through USF, University of Sioux Falls. So we will be hopefully getting it. We will get a credit for it. We will also, even the people who don't have degrees, I can usually get an undergrad credit for them and a graduate credit for those who want it. We'll be discussing it at the beginning of the year. So I was really thrilled that those teachers came to me and said, can we do this? It will be good for our staff and we want to include everybody. So we're doing that. I think I made some of these notes before our last meeting and then we didn't really have a regular meeting. We hired Jenna Elsher. Kind of idea there was to help with the big kindergarten class that's coming in. We don't know exactly what that'll look like yet because we don't know all of our numbers. We'll also be able to use her elsewhere as well. We also hired Mrs. Martin Moss. She just went through the teacher prep program where a para goes through all the classes. And so she is certified to teach some English and to teach business. And we hired her. She's taken the Praxis for Science and she's business. So she is going to be teaching some technology to those. It's all middle school. So we've got her for that position. We just heard word today, and I am so excited for her. Trista Reiner just got accepted into the present cohort for teacher, the apprenticeship program that Mrs. Martin Moss just completed. So the state and Dakota State, it's a project they're doing. They will pay for her schooling to finish certification. So Trista has already been taking a lot of classes. She is an ideal employee. I'm excited that she got into this program. And so that was fun to hear today. Something I get lots and lots of emails about, and I want you to think about where we want to go with this. Esports. You've maybe heard a lot about esports. There are lots of school districts in our state that are providing esports. So I listened to a guy, they're from out of state, but they provide all of the infrastructure for our South Dakota high school activities. There are 5 main games One is chess. I mean, so they aren't out there games. One is a version of, what's the craft? Minecraft. It's a version of that. Then there's three others. I forget all of them because it was several days ago when he called me. But they call me constantly trying to get us to participate. And at first it was just, I ignored it. I didn't want to deal with it. But then it was interesting that one of our students came and asked me if we could do something like this at our school. So I thought, well, that's interesting that they're start coming and starting to ask. So I don't know if it's something we want to look more into. Right now, I'm just throwing it out there. If you hear more about it, I've got the contact.
Is the chess portion like learning how to play chess with the board and pieces, or is it online?
I'm pretty sure it's the online.
I don't know. Our kids are online.
Yeah, because I think esports I think they're all online.
I can just tell you this from where I sit, it's getting to be a pretty big thing.
So
It really is. It's
Scholarship.
there's scholarships for it. Like they do esports tournaments on Ellsworth and there's a lot of involvement with younger folks in the military that do it. It's very, very, it's getting
And I
large.
still haven't figured out if it's all like if they go places and compete or if they compete from home, but they've got their own room.
No, typically they go to like a gym and they have all the computers and everything set up or the video games, whichever they're playing on, and they play in the, so it is a social event too.
So because he was saying you all get on, but you could have a room in your school where you do it. So that's what was kind of confusing to me. And I'll be honest, you guys, I had 25 different things going on the day that I was visiting with him.
They did do a state tournament in South Dakota in February.
If a group of kids are passionate about it, in my mind, and want to come speak with us, I'd love to know.
Well, and
To
I'll
me,
do
there's
a
so
little
many
more.
things.
Yeah.
So many things for our kids to do unless I saw a real drive, like coming from them. I don't know.
If they're not doing that, they're doing something else, so.
Well,
Well,
I'm
and
not saying it's bad. I'm just,
Some of those kids might not be active in other activities, so might be a good. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear.
Okay, and if you want to go there, I just got told today, and I've been familiar with Skills USA. But that's another thing with the CTV program that we got out here, we should be involved with Skills USA. That's a big where it's welding competitions and it's all those type CTV type skills. So you could wear yourself out trying to get your kids into everything. And I don't know if that's where we want to go, but I want every kid to be able to be a part of something, if that makes sense. I guess that's my goal is I don't want anyone to be left out just because they're not a basketball player or a track runner or a wrestler, whatever. November 12th, you guys. So we've been asked the last 2 years, we've had a very successful, and Megan Judson has done a nice job of organizing. I thought this year went even better than the first year, as they usually do. The district LDE, so those are like, some of you maybe judged it. I'm sure you probably did, but the speaking contests and such for FFA, they want to have another FFA competition here the afternoon of the 12th. What we did was we had school till noon. We let school out. All the staff stayed and helped with this competition or did some type of work here. So I'm going to request your approval of allowing us to have that on the 12th. They came to us to ask if we'd be willing to host that again. Today is my last day on campus for a while. I'm going to go to Wild West Leadership. Don't worry, I'm not going to Wild West. I'm not going wild, but leadership conference Thursday and Friday morning. I'm also going to the Felissa meeting in California next week, Thursday, Friday. Just my niece, I finally talked my niece into it. She found a plane ticket and same plane, happened to get on the same plane and she was game to take a couple days and go with me. So
Where's in California?
Newport Beach.
You save the Wild West days.
I'm gonna go by myself and do wild.
Just don't go to LA.
And you know what? I know this is being recorded. There are too many people who know me in Deadwood. There is nobody that knows me in Newport.
Until there is,
Huh?
until there is.
I don't think we've ever gone anywhere with Sally with someone.
Oh,
You're not flying into LA, no, are you?
No, I don't think, I don't know where I'm flying into, actually. Oh, yeah, that's right, you guys. I want to come back. I am kind of taking some time off through July 4th. I know that we've got some committee meetings and such, and I'll be here for, and I'll still be working on things, but probably more from home for the next couple weeks with those trainings. One thing I do want to tell you, I went to, and it was so powerful, and I'm going to expect staff to go next year. We've got this ELA. I went to a conference last week. 1,200 teachers, very few West River teachers. Before I started this work, I was one of the big trainers and everything in our state for reading. They asked me if I'd present. So I took a grammar lesson because that's phonics, phonemic awareness, reading comprehension. You got to know your grammar. And we're coming back to the basics, brain research. So I said, yep, I'll come. So I expected 40, 50 people, small group. All of a sudden I have 350 people and they put me on the big stage with big cameras and all. I had to readjust the night before to make this a totally different presentation than just a small group. But it was a good model. That's what we expect our teachers to do. Don't be fixed in your thoughts. Be able to be flexible and to brainstorm and to rethink. And that's what we got to do all the time. And I'm not afraid to do it myself. So that was a great experience. And I'm going to expect some of our staff. In fact, people said, Sally, where's your team? You're one of the leaders in this. Where's your team? I said, they will come with me next year. They're having babies this year. And I do have a lot of teachers. I'm excited. I've got teachers taking 2 or 3 taking college courses this summer. Summer's not a time for teachers to take off. They're training and recertifying. So things are great. That's all I'm doing.
When you go to your Felissa meeting, make sure to speak up.
I'll try, the first day is committee meetings and I was going to even contact that woman that knows my name now. Say, I'm coming. Can I work with that committee? Mr. Custer. Noggle is not going to be around anymore. So I think we need to have a voice, when I went, Boone was here. I tried to stay close with being from South Dakota and having his backing. I don't know if that does us any good, but yes, I will speak up.
Don't talk like the main guy.
It gets really liberal there, you know
I
that.
know, yeah, it's fine.
And this is a small group of,
I work on both sides of the aisle though, and you need both sides to work.
Yes,
things.
yes.
It'd be good if you were there and you visit with them and try to get wedged in there. He told me specifically to make sure you don't visit with him when you go to the summer meeting,
Okay,
so
I will shake hands with him.
that would be good.
Tom's
I
name.
do too, Sally, during our student part. We have 3 kiddos that scholarships to go to Blackhouse Playhouse. They do a summer theater and camp. And so, Ada and Colt and Journey are going to that the 2nd week of July, and they'll be up there by Custer that whole week. They'll do a whole musical up there at the end of like 6 weeks.
When does that, that's something we can attend, I'm sure.
I think so. July. I know, July 12th is the performance, there's 2 performances. 3 kiddos from their going, so that's exciting.
Awesome.
I don't know anything else.
That's all we got tonight. Thank you, Sally. All you guys for your reports. We need to go into exec tonight.
I have one short thing.
Yeah, okay. Number 18, it's,
One. Personnel.
Personnel.
just let me make sure. Yeah, that should be. It's Prince two.
Oh,
I believe that would be. And Monday before we say what it's for.
It's -2 parentheses, number. It's personnel.
Put my little thing in named, but yeah, that would be personal. I believe that's good.
Make a motion to go into executive session according to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2. He's one.
Second.
I'll second the motion.
Everybody.
Actually, Carolyn does it. You're usually right there on the ball.
Yeah, this is the, oh, now into executive sessions.